Welcome to Origin, Remember Your Truth, a podcast for everyone who senses there's more than meets the eye. I'm your host, Anne Hochwald, and I can't believe this is already the 4th episode. Together, we explore what lies beneath conditioning, roles, and learned identities through perception, energy, intuition, and lived experience. This is your invitation to remember your inner truth and original frequency. Everything here is for you to feel what's true for you. Take what resonates and throw out the rest. On today's episode, as now the podcast has officially been launched, we'll be talking again about energy, emotions, and I will be directly picking up on a comment I got regarding the first episode, which now is a great opportunity, also an invitation to you. If you listen to the episodes and there's something that sparks your curiosity or you want to know more about that, let me know. Write a comment on Spotify or send me a DM on Instagram and I can integrate it if it fits. One note, you might have noticed that there is a new title because in the beginning it was Origin Beyond Identity. The subtitle never really fit for me, but I used it as a placeholder, and that's also why the first 3 episodes, which I recorded before the launch, are still saying Beyond Identity, as I don't cut my episodes. They're more or less unedited, apart from me cutting out the pauses when they're not necessary. Then yes, this can cause some confusion, but now the title you will also see on the cover and in the podcast. And regarding that point, that I basically changed my mind, this is something, if you continue following me, that will happen. It's not like I constantly change my mind and cannot commit to things. I don't change my mind every day, but I am someone who continuously grows and develops, and I will keep doing so in a rather quick pace. I also am not afraid of making mistakes and being wrong. And if something I say or believed I find out to not be true or correct, or I simply change my mind or attitude towards it, then I will also change my approach. So if this is something that bothers you, be warned, this might not be the right podcast or channel for you, because I do not stay the same. I evolve, I grow, and I hope you do too through this podcast, because life is challenging. I will challenge you. I might trigger you, and that's, in my opinion, fine, because that's where the magic happens. So now let's go exactly where the magic happens. In the first episode, I talked about energy and how everything is energy. Every word, sound, person, place, feeling, it's all energy, and all of it influences us. And the comment I got regarding that episode was someone who was starting to worry after listening to the episode that she might be putting out the wrong energy. At the moment, she's not in the best place in her life and not necessarily happy every day, but in my opinion, not even complaining about it. It's simply that when you ask her how she's doing, she won't say, "Oh yes, everything is awesome, great, I'm having the time of my life." And that made her think, oh, am I now maybe putting out the wrong energy? Am I pulling people down? Can I even do that, say that? Because she doesn't want to be the one putting out negative energy, which for me led to the immediate reaction that I had to pick this up on the next episode, because I couldn't just leave it at that. Also because, in my opinion, she is not putting out negative energy. Because when I said also to be careful with your own energy and to really focus on where you go, under which influences, basically you live your life. I did not mean that everything is rainbows and sprinkles and there is nobody that's unhappy. No, that's not life. Life is ups and downs. Depending on how fully you engage with life, the ups and the downs can go very far from the baseline, and that is fine. You are not supposed to, well, I mean, if you're always happy, that's great. Congrats, and really, I'm happy for you, but you don't have to be happy every day. And if you're feeling like shit, then you're entitled to feel like shit. If you don't feel it, well, then that's shit, and I hope the algorithm doesn't cancel this out. But it's okay to not always feel good. And it's important to let these emotions out because emotions are energy. And if we don't let them out, we don't feel them, they stay in the body. That energy will stay in the body, will manifest in, if we really overdo it, some kind of physical ailment, which we do not need, want. Nobody needs that. And the situation here, also that person was only thinking about, oh, am I putting out wrong energy for others? So her own standing was not the top priority, as in, what was it doing to her? She wasn't even thinking about that fact, but only, which is admirable, yes, to put others first, but if you don't value yourself at all, I'm not saying she doesn't value herself at all, but at some point you also need to take care of yourself, and it's important that you do. So maybe if you felt something similar after the first episode, thinking, oh, but then, oh, I said something negative, or someone asked me how I was doing, and I didn't say good, because I wasn't. Honestly, great. Really? That's great that you said it. And if it's a friend, then maybe you can also go a bit deeper if you want to share with that friend or a family member or whoever you want to talk to. Some people don't want to share, they just want to process it by themselves, which is also totally fine. Maybe you're sad and you just want to have a good cry alone with someone, or you're angry and you love sports, you go for one of those. I call them angry runs. They usually are at quite the fast pace and somehow don't feel that hard, but they do you good. Unless you overdo it, do that every week because you're constantly in an anger state and really, or not every week, but every day. That is also past the point and push your body past its limits. But sometimes if there's just something you want to get out, let it out, whatever works for you. And if you don't know what works for you, try around. Really, I invite you to try around. Maybe it's dancing, maybe it's singing, maybe you just want to shake or throw a pillow against the wall, or maybe throw something else against the wall, but check with your landlord, please. I'm realizing I might be putting out the wrong ideas, so maybe don't throw objects against the wall unless it's really a ball or something. Please check that. I sometimes have crazy ideas, so I shouldn't get carried away by this, but now I have lots of pictures in my head imagining what you could throw against the wall. Okay, getting sidetracked here. We'll come back. Now, to get back to the comment I received and the woman not feeling too good. In this case, at least that's what I read in between the lines, was that she was already starting to blame herself for basically being honest. And being honest is not something that should be punished, neither from the outside nor from the inside, especially not from the inside. Looking at this podcast, this is what I want you to remember and to do, to live your truth, to be true to yourself. And if you're feeling like shit, then own it. No, you don't have to run around and tell everyone, I feel like shit, life sucks, the world is terrible. Saying this with sarcasm now. But it's okay to not always be good. And then when you realize that, because that's the important part, to realize that somehow things aren't that flowy in your life, or you feel like something's off, to then see and check in with yourself why that is, and to ask yourself, how am I really feeling right now? Because often when we're used to suppressing our feelings in this society, because with the whole performance society, you function, you work, you're a machine, you don't have feelings. But of course we do. But we kind of unlearned what are our feelings actually. Some might still know, others not, and they're just feeling off, but they don't even know why. Are they sad? Are they angry? Are they scared? Who knows? And for you that you're already being aware of feeling off, that's great. That's the first step. Then you can go into it, really sit with it or walk with it or whatever works for you. Because especially when things are still, I'll say, tangled up in your head, because you're still in your head and not in your body, it might and will most likely be very difficult to just sit down. It could also be the opposite and be the exact thing that you need. But maybe walking clears your head up enough first that then you have more access to your body. Try it out. There is no one-step formula that fits everyone. And even if you've found your formula, that can change again. What works for you now might not work for you in a year or in 10 years. So I really invite you to figure out, and not with your mind, but figure out what is it you're feeling in your body. And if you can somehow gauge what kind of a feeling that is, to then ask yourself, oh, okay, I'm scared as hell. Why? What would I need to not be scared? Maybe it's a decision in your life that you want to make. And what would you need for that decision to feel safe? What would your nervous system need? If now you're procrastinating something, pushing it away, ignoring your body, not listening, or just doing it anyway, which is also not the best option. I myself have done that a lot. I'll admit that. That even though I was then, for example, scared of doing something, I'd just ignore the bodily sensations altogether. And that does not mean, just like starting this podcast, yes, it didn't feel like I was 100% ready, but not feeling ready completely and just getting started is not the same as having a fear and panic that actually you don't want to do something at all, and then still pushing yourself through in a really unhealthy and unpleasant manner. Compare it to, you like swimming, but in the morning, that first jump into the pool and you just crawled out of bed. Yeah, even if you've been swimming for years, it's still not nice, but you do it and then you're in and it works. But let's say you can't swim and you figure, I'm just gonna jump in and hope for the best. Okay, that might work, but that is a bit extreme. I myself know a lot about doing those extreme things from my experience. It can go either way. I wouldn't recommend it. And even if you survive, it's really not that good for your nervous system. And if you start communicating with your nervous system, it will communicate to you that it is not thrilled when you do those kinds of things. For you, this might seem a bit weird when I talk about talking to your nervous system, but it's similar to the inner voice you have, how you talk to yourself. Because when I talked to my nervous system the first time in a visualization, first of all, my nervous system wasn't even a person, but appeared to me as a block of some kind of metal, was just solid, and I could not access my emotions there or talk to it. It was just a solid box. And eventually I got it to melt into a puddle, and then out of that puddle came kind of metallic humanoid nervous system person that I could talk to. And that my nervous system was only using really bad language. It was cussing, it was calling me bitch, flicking me the bird, and it really felt terrible. I didn't know what was happening because it felt very, very bad to be talked to like that. It took me a while to realize that my nervous system was only talking to myself like that because I'd been talking to my nervous system that way. So your nervous system will repay you in whatever way you treat it. And as you're living in your body with your nervous system, think carefully on how you treat it. Now, to come back to the comment again of the woman, she was worried that by just feeling and honestly saying what she was feeling, that she was putting out the wrong energy. I mean, look at that. If we take it that way, most people here we can't be around. I can't then be around myself if I have a bad day. And as a woman, you'll have even more fluctuation, let's call it that, in your moods, just simply because we have a more or less monthly cycle instead of a daily cycle. And so the last week of our cycle, we can't be around people or talk because we get more moody, which isn't even our fault because it's just hormones and it's biology. And that's wrong energy? No, because you can say something that is sad or talk about your anger, let your anger out. And somehow, to me, that can still be in a good energy because you want to let it out, you want to share it, and the other person can help you shoulder it. If the other person is not ready at that moment or can't take as much because maybe they have a lot in their life going on, then they can and should tell you that, look, today I myself am not doing that great, and we can talk about it tomorrow, but right now, and that's again a question about putting up your boundaries, which is your responsibility to uphold, to say so that the other person knows, and then maybe you can talk about it the next day. But in my opinion, being sad and letting out what's actually moving you from a true and authentic place is not bad energy. Not at all. If you're just whining, oh, life sucks and nothing works and why me, and you're putting yourself in that victim state, that's not gonna help anyone. Or you blame other people. How is that serving you? You're pulling yourself further down. The other person, either they don't even know you're blaming them. Even if you blame them, then they might get defensive, which doesn't mean in any way that you're responsible for everything, as in sometimes, yes, it might have been whatever happened to you, someone else's, let's call it, fault. But the question is, how do you react and work with it afterwards? Because it happened. You can't change that. But what you can change and control is how you deal with it, how you afterwards deal with the world after whatever has happened and what you make of it. Look at trauma. Trauma is not what happened to you. Trauma is what you made of it and felt during. Something objectively traumatic could be not traumatic to a person because they didn't think it was bad, or let's say, just being criticized in school, which objectively speaking shouldn't necessarily traumatize you, can be totally traumatizing. And these things, to realize all these patterns and what they do to you, how they shape you, because they are not you, that's a very important step. So getting back to this woman and her being worried that she was putting out the wrong energy, she was basically, and I can really feel that because I know that I did that as well, overthinking the whole thing. Because then, and when she hears this, she might think, oh, so I was putting out the wrong energy, not and influencing other people's energy. Oh no, why did I do that? Possibly saying, oh no, I shouldn't have done that. Why do I always do that? Maybe beating up her own nervous system in the process. And if that is you, and now you're realizing, oh shit, I did that. And now you're beating up your nervous system again for, if you can follow my train of thoughts, this is like overthinking the overthinking. It can happen. It's fine. Breathe. It's okay. It's a process. No one's perfect. Even if you really go deep into this, after years, you might still be doing it. Not as often, and maybe also only very seldomly, but it will still happen at some point. Most likely. We're not saints or angels. Maybe some of us are. Who knows? If you're listening to this, you know the world has more to it than meets the eye. So really, who knows? But most of us in a human body will have human traits. So we won't be perfect. We will catch ourselves having these thoughts. And that is fine. That's okay. It's okay. What's most important is that you have the awareness. And that's where it all starts, because then you can see, okay, what's going on? What can I do about it? Or what can other people help me with? Because maybe you can't solve it on your own. Maybe you need a friend or family member to support you. So get that support. Get whatever you need, what you really feel you need, not what makes sense or what you should be doing, but what do you feel you need? Do you need a hug? Do you just need a venting session where for 20 minutes you talk someone's ear off, you say all this bad stuff you want to say, and then you're done? You got it out, and your system feels better again. Do give your friend the pre-warning. Ask them, are they ready to take that? And I wouldn't recommend doing that every day. But if that's what you feel you need, go for it and see what it does afterwards for you. And this perspective of what energy am I putting out, super important. This question also shows that that person has a lot of integrity. I assume most people following and listening to this podcast have that as well. Otherwise, you wouldn't listen to it. And it's noble to think of the others, but you're also allowed to just live your truth and your energy. Don't change your energy for someone else. Of course, there's always a, let's call it, low road and high road version of how you move in daily life, but you don't need to change for someone. And if you're on a low day, you're allowed to have that. I really invite you to live the way you feel. Yes, we have societal norms, constraints. If you're feeling like having a tantrum at work in an office meeting might not always be well accepted, I admit that. I will also admit that I have not done that. Throwing a tantrum, throwing myself on the floor in an office meeting, though I do think it would be funny once as a story, maybe. Then you might end up in your boss's office, something. So don't try it. Unless it's your office and you own the company, then I guess you're the boss. But look at children. They move through emotions and energies in a very natural way. When they're sad, they'll cry, and 2 minutes later, they'll be jumping around on the playground, playing, laughing, as though nothing had ever happened. They felt the energy, they let it out, let it move through them, freed it up again, and they were good. And they live in the present. They don't live in the past or the future. They're just present and here. Present with whatever is, not overthinking. Am I a sad child? I just cried? No, they cried, whatever. They don't even care because the crying is already over and now they got cookies or whatever, apples. So if you like, you can try to be more present with what you are feeling and whenever you can, to feel those things, to just let them be. Don't drown in your feelings. You can, after feeling it, examine it. Okay, why am I so sad? What is this? You don't have to let yourself be overwhelmed. This is easier said than done. Sometimes feelings can be very overwhelming, which is why we push them away because we think we can't handle them. You can handle them. Trust me. And also, if you need support with it, then ask whoever you trust to go through those emotions together with you because it might be too overwhelming for you in the beginning, and that's fine. We all have to start somewhere. Like, I didn't start always feeling my feelings. I suppressed all of my feelings, most of them. Sometimes there would be short outbursts when I couldn't keep it in, but usually they weren't in my behavior, but then just my body having an outburst or outbreak because the energy had manifested into something not so pleasant. Other people have, let's call it anger management issues. Ideally, you don't let it come that far, but we're humans, so we're not ideal. We're works in progress from beginning till the end. Another thought I'd like to pick up on is thinking of, okay, what am I doing? Basically, by feeling my feelings and telling friends, am I pulling them down? What might they be thinking? This, are you pulling them down? No. Not unless you're going into the victim whining mode, and your friends also have the ability and should be able to set up their own boundaries. Though I will agree that it's difficult and most people are not aware of it, and their boundaries are constantly crossed or overstepped because they go into this people pleasing mode. Been there, done that. Didn't even know I had boundaries until I started working with a mentor. She asked me that question, what are your boundaries? And I was like, I actually wrote that in written form then, and I couldn't come up with anything apart from death. Though that quickly changed over the course of a couple of weeks, and I had a lot of boundaries. Then, over the course of a couple more weeks, I enforced those boundaries. Led to some breakups, let's call it that way. But it was good because I could preserve my energy. And in this, let other people be responsible for their own energy. If you are pulling them down, they should be telling you, you can't take care of everyone and always think 3 steps ahead for everyone else. It won't work. There are too many variables in that equation that you can't satisfy. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe you can't predict the future in this small detail. I mean, having visions about more general things in society is one thing, but it's very hard to make everyone happy. So don't try. Set your own energetic boundaries. See that your own energetic balance is there and upheld, but leave others in their responsibility to take care of themselves if they are able to lead their life by themselves, of course. So, something I would like to emphasize: life is messy. There are ups and downs. And if you feel a lot, which most likely you do if you're following this show, your ups and downs will be even more extreme. And we're meant to feel. The human experience is there to feel, to react to life. That also means to other people. So someone else might not be happy. You can react to that and decide what to do with it. So cut yourself some slack. You don't have to have it all figured out yet. And remember as well that your emotions, whatever comes up, are not you. You're not your feelings. Feelings are sensations. You're not your anger. You're not your sadness. I'm not judging you by whether you're angry or sad, because that's not you. That's the current state you're in. I'm not judging your body temperature. It's also, and if someone does judge you by that, then maybe rethink if they're really your people, if they are voluntary connections. I hope this made it more clear for you in case you were having these thoughts after the first episode, and really invite you to let yourself just be more. Be what you are in the moment, to let out what you feel in the moment so that then you can actually be yourself. Now, if you have any other questions or want to know more about certain topics, let me know. Send me a DM. I'll put my contact info in the show notes. And if this episode resonated with you, subscribe, rate, leave a review, or share it with someone who might benefit from it. I would be truly grateful for that, and that way this podcast can grow and reach more people. I hope this touched you in some way and sparked a thought, a feeling, ideally. May you move through your day with curiosity, awareness, and a little more of your truth shining through. See you in the next episode.